We're rolling, and as you can see, another glorious day. The fog is in because we're around 18 Celsius, 65 degrees thereabouts. It's warm, so the dew point is high, and the temperature is meeting the dew point. That produces fog. A lovely morning nonetheless. So we're wearing our bright colorways. We got the matching helmets, and we're rolling. We will get some more clips for you guys. We're rolling up to the taco corner area because the boys put out the route, so we'll sit in with them for a bit. And I'm sure, as usual, it is going to be interesting.
Nice day.
A lovely day. Another glorious day.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. It was very foggy. We rolled into the woodlands. We picked up Team RR, headed out Research Forest, Egypt Lane. We went down Honea Egypt Road, Keenan-Cut off, Spring Branch Road. By the time we got out to Gary, we stopped filming. We left the group. We went up past Taco Corner on 149 into the forest. And then once we got on Fawn Forest, Taliaferro, we started to film on Cedar Hill Road. Came back on Bays Chapel, we filmed there. Came back on 149, that's all on film. Then we turned off the camera and came back through the forest on 1097, past Montgomery. Ended up being a longer ride than we had planned. It was very interesting. We just kind of sat in when we were with the group, and then by ourselves, we just kept a steady, standard pace, just keeping it in zone 2 for most of the ride. I think you will like the clips we got for you. It started out kind of a overcast, foggy day, but then it burned off and cleared up a bit.
Waiting for you to start riding. All right, let's go.
I know, you all look great.
Yep.
It's 7:36. It's time to roll. So Dan is complimenting us on our outfit. It is cloudy. The arrow here is on Rick, the guy in the white right there that's just turning right. Keep your eye on him. He ends up crashing in a few kilometers. And when I play back the clips, then I notice some of the things he was doing, what I call riding scared, that may have led to it. It's really, it's skill work. So those of you who spend a lot of time on an indoor trainer, you're not going to learn how to handle your bike sitting on an indoor trainer. You need to get on the road. You need to be able to ride when it's damp so you know what to do. Makes a big difference. And what I'm going to talk about here is look how we're all spread out. We look like we're all over the road, and we're just not very organized at this point. If you look at where I'm placed, you look at where Dan is here in front of the camera, and look at where I am placed. You see the guy over there, that's Greg on the right, and where the guy in the white jersey, those two are making us look like we're 3 to 4 abreast, and legally you're supposed to ride 2 abreast. So you see, we got 2 abreast on the lane, and those 2 look like they don't belong. You see how it just looks all scattered. So to the drivers, we look like just a roaming group. There is no organization. We don't look clean on the road. See behind there? The guys that are on the road look clean. And you got people on the shoulder. If you're gonna ride on the shoulder, that's fine, but then there should be 1 line on the road, because we end up with 3 lines and whatever, and so we get drivers blowing at us because we don't look very organized. I'm pointing that out so that when you're out there riding, don't ride like this. This is not my group. I don't control what they do, but I know what I need to do. You can see where I am. The law says to ride as far to the right as practical. It's Saturday morning. There are 2 lanes on this road. It's not busy. we're using the lane. So if you're gonna ride on the shoulder, that's fine, that's okay. But to just be scattered all over the road, it's just like you look like you don't know what you're doing. And plus, I don't like to ride on the shoulder when it's damp because you pick up a lot of debris, so you can have a puncture a lot easier. So I stay on this lane, the right lane. I'm gonna use that. Look how clean that is. And if you're going to ride on the main lanes, you want to ride no more than 2 abreast. That's the law. So you look organized so drivers can predict what you guys are going to do. But when you're all over the road, they don't know what you're gonna do. So as they come by, some of them will honk to make sure I'm coming by, because you guys don't look like you know what you're doing, so I'm letting you know I'm coming by. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. So when you're riding with your mates, get a tight formation and stick to it. Not only is it more efficient, the other road users can appreciate what you're doing. When I ride solo, no one honks at me because I do everything predictably. If I'm gonna use the road, I use the road. If I'm gonna be on the shoulder, I stay on the shoulder. We rode with these guys on Sunday also, and I had to tell them to go single file on certain roads, and they know better. But they just always get a little lax, and we're not the only ones on the road. At this point, I just noticed that Rick is with the group, the guy in the white jersey that I was talking about. We're hitting Egypt Lane here. The road is damp because of the mist from the fog. You see how I took that corner wide? Wide line, slow your speed, keep the bike upright. Now, the irony here is, as I ride up here, Mike Weingrad had written and met the group here on Research Forest. He's on the right. I'm gonna say good morning. He always feels the need to say something that he thinks is smart, but a lot of it is kind of lame. So what he just said was, we need to get you guys up front so everyone can see us. So what does that mean? That means the rest of you guys are invisible? So if you know that, why didn't you wear something brighter? See, Dan had said, man, you guys look great in the parking lot. But Mike is one of those passive-aggressive people. Always got to make a smart aleck remark. We got to get you guys up front so everybody can see us. So you're saying that you left home knowing you were not dressed properly for the weather. It's cloudy. You want to wear something bright. White, yellow, chartreuse, whatever. He knows that, and he wants to make a smart aleck remark. So those kind of things, I just ignore those comments. We stop here, and in front of that car, there's another group. That's Mo's group. At this point, I am not aware. I thought those guys were with us, because some of the riders in this group, they rode off before we left the parking lot, and I thought that was them. But you see those riders up front? That's Mo's group. That's WCC. And what happened is, when we ride here, before we got to this light, Rick, when I said good morning to him, had told me, oh, it's kind of slick. And I told him, keep it slow, take wide turns, keep your bike upright. And he gave thumbs up. But it was on his mind. He brought up the fact that it was, you know, it's kind of, he said, it's kind of slick out here. I don't pay it no mind, because if it's slick, you just do everything a little more cautiously. We ride in the rain all the time. We're not going hard. You know, we're doing 18 miles an hour. And so you slow down. In about 2 intersections, he's going to be sitting on the road, because he's up front. I guess he's riding up. He's behind the WCC guys that were at that light. I am not aware of where he is at this point. We had chatted. We stopped at the light, and he went on. And I think I'm going to wait for Paul here. I'm on the right there. Paul is back here. The road is just kind of slick because of the mist, and I always talk about it. Heavy rains clean the pavement. Mist and light drizzle will raise the oils from cars and other things on top of the road to make it slippery. So you got to be a little more cautious. And somehow he loses his front wheel in about 1 kilometer or less, I believe. Paul is riding up here. Those guys are talking. So when you guys are riding, try to be neat on the roads. Keep your formation tight on the public roads. If you're on roads that are, you know, in the neighborhoods and there's not a whole lot of other road users, fine. But just as a habit, I always keep my formation tight, because you want the other road users to know that you're doing something predictable. There's a guy in front of me that had gone through. I checked, even though I was close to him, to let everybody know.
Someone went down.
See, right here, Paul says somebody had gone down. You can't see it right now, but it's at that corner. Rick is sitting on the ground. So I'm going to tell him, you make me look bad, man. We just talked about this. There he is sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
I told Paul, I said, we just talked about it.
Just talking about this, Rick.
So you make him. So I stopped to help him. That's more on the left. I was not aware that more than them were there. I was paying more attention to Rick. So I take out my wipe and I give it to him to wipe because he's got a little bit of an abrasion on his arm. And we're there helping him. So I give it to him to wipe his arm. You can see the mist on the road. That's just from the fog. It didn't rain. That's Fabian on the left there. That's Jesus on the left as well.
Hey, Fabian.
Hey, how are you, Paul?
I'm good. I'm good.
So we're getting off the road so this car can go by. But they heard the noise and they stopped. This is a different group that stopped to make sure. All of this I did not see because I'm paying attention to Rick. Because when people crash, they kind of jump up and want to act like they're okay, and I'm telling him to check himself.
He went down hard.
Yeah, he did.
And those kind of slow falls, you can hurt yourself.
Lean the bike, man.
You see, Paul said he leaned the bike. So just what we talked about.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't have leaned the bike. It was kind of a really, in my opinion, a crash that could have been avoided.
Now they're turning.
So Paul is coming back to where we are. I'm still there with Rick. Rick decides after we stopped, he had a little bit of abrasion. That's Mo and Fabian here. I didn't even know they were there, but I'm over there with Rick. And I gave him something to put pressure on the wound. He had a little cut on his thumb. He's putting pressure on. See, he's cleaning his elbow. And he's explaining to me what happened. He said he slowed down, but the front wheel just went out. So he's cleaning the blood off his elbow.
Yeah, don't mess with that. Put some pressure on the thumb.
Yeah, he was going to peel the skin off of the wound. I told him not to mess with that. Just leave the skin on there and put pressure on it to stop the bleeding because your hands are very vascular. So he's okay, just a little scraped up. And so he decides he's going to go home.
Hey, I'm happy to ride back with you, Rick.
So that's Mark offering to ride back with Rick. So I don't know. But Rick decided, nah, I don't need anybody riding back with me. So I'm telling the guys, we had just talked about it on Egypt Lane after I said good morning to Mike Weingrab back there. Rick had brought up that the roads were slick, and I told him, don't lean the bike, slow down, take wide turns.
He hit the concrete hard. Oh, yeah.
So he was okay, just banged up. And, when you get home from a crash like that, you got to check your hip because when you hit the road like that, usually you hit pretty hard with the hip.
What you talking about with it?
They come up with bones protruding.
Mark's talking about these cyclists that are real skinny. They got bones, more bones than meat. And so we're going back. So Rick is going home. He's all right. He's got back on the bike and we straightened the stem for him. And so I'm putting my hand out for guy because this is an unusual corner too. It's kind of off camber and it's damp.
Car up?
Yeah, you got to kind of keep your bike upright and slow down. So anytime you have light drizzle, light rain, you got to wait, you got to take it easy. The wider turns, you slow down. It's just, he just was a little careless, I think, in that corner. Because he was riding with other riders and it was a one bike accident. So he just took a bad line and carrying a little more speed. He said he slowed down, but, So that's part of being on the road. You got to work on your handling. So that's Austin on the left. We're talking about it. So as we approach these guys on the corner, they were not there. They were not very close to Rick, but they're waiting. And I just told them he's going home. Let's go. I didn't want to stop here again because sometimes we stop too often. I say he's going home. Let's go. They're stopped, and you're gonna see me just turn and keep riding. I told him he's gonna go back home. Let's go. You know, we don't need to be standing here. It's a public road. Let's go. So it's clear. Mark had announced the route. When it's overcast and foggy like this, I like this route because we end up in Grand Lake Estates, which is low volume of traffic. That's a good way to go. And even Fish Creek is good too because we get the whole right lane. So we're going to use Honea, Egypt, which is a 2-lane road, and you kind of want to have a single file line so that the other road users can see around the group to decide when it's safe to pass. So that's the reason you see me at the front, because I just want us to go ahead and start riding. You can see 24 kilometers an hour. That's about 15 miles an hour. Let's say I've got my eye on the mirror. I see Mike on my wheel, Mike S5, and I'm looking back to see where everybody else is. And I keep the speed down until the line gets very tight. So I'm watching. In my mirror, I can see behind. And as soon as they get there, I'm going to start nudging the speed up. And my goal is to keep it between 18 to 20 miles an hour based on the conditions right now. It's not super windy at this point. Just a few rollers coming up. You see the speeds going up a little bit. So I'm going to get it right around 18 to 20 miles an hour. Just kind of keep the effort. I'm going to be at the bottom of zone 2. So I'm doing it more by effort than speed. And you can see my cadence is up. I'm pedaling a very high cadence here. You see the speed's getting up now. We're close to 18 to 20 miles an hour. And I just settled into a rhythm. And it's cool to see that everybody, we're in a line, and that's on a road like this, that's the way we're supposed to ride. Because if you're all over the road and it's busy like this, you're not popular to the other road users. It just causes a lot of strife. The road goes up here. So this gives everybody a chance to kind of get into some kind of a rhythm to know that now we're riding. And then I'm going to start edging it up. The road kind of levels off here. It's going to go down a little bit. It says -2. And I just shift up to kind of keep the pressure the same. And right now I've gotten the sweet spot. So when you're at the front, I'm at sweet spot. They're probably in their endurance zone. You can hear people talking. So I talk about this all the time. If you want to work harder, you don't need to be doing jumps all the time. Just stay at the front longer. You will be working harder than the people who are in the draft. So the idea is to build endurance. So I'm only doing a pace that is sustainable. That's what endurance is. Lasting. That means you can do it for a long time. For the duration. So whether you do in a time trial, whatever speed you need to carry in the time trial, or whatever effort, I should say, not speed, whatever effort you need to carry in the time trial, you need to build up your endurance so that you can do that effort for that duration. Then you know you're ready. Because during the event, you'll be able to go a little harder, you know, with the adrenaline and everything else that comes along with it. That's why you have to train and not just ride. There are a lot of people that ride bikes, and they join us, like some people joined us this Sunday. Sunday, the ride is usually subdued with these guys, more so than Saturday. And there are people who show up. We have people in the area who only ride when the weather is warm, meaning 65 or higher, and it's dry, there's no rain or whatever, and it showed. All the fair weather riders were dropped like a bad habit on Sunday today that I'm doing this part of the commentary. They showed up. We hadn't seen them in months, but they've been chatting on the board, you know, because there was a board these guys used to communicate the ride. They've been chatting, and they showed up and got dropped by the time the warm-up was over. If you don't work out or train consistently, you pay the price. Because these same people waiting on the weather to be fine, probably not even riding indoors, because it takes a lot of discipline to get on an indoor trainer when you're not going outside. I mean, you all know sometimes it's even hard to get out and go ride. You can find reasons to not ride, so you need somebody to motivate you. So we can tell all the people that have not been putting in the work, then they just show up. So if it's important to you, you eat every day, you want to be fit, if that's a goal, then you need to work out every day. You don't have to be on the bike, go swim, walk, run, whatever, do something. If you're traveling, do something else, go in the pool, I don't care. Whatever hotel you're staying in, find some way to get your body moving. When you come back on the bike, you will be that much better off than if you just sat around. So at this point, I pull off the front, then I notice there's a gap there, so I just go ahead and fill the gap. And this is what happens. So if you're feeling like you want to work harder, you stay near the front and just rotate and do the work. And then you stay near the front and keep it steady. You don't need to keep the pace erratic. Just keep it steady so everybody will get a workout. So I just stay up there at this point. I think Darren's on the left here. He's having a problem with his bike. In a little bit, I was not aware of it, or I heard about it when we got to the Grand Lake Estates. We had to wait for him. You will hear Paul tell me that they were waiting for him. But right here, he's having problems. Something's wrong. Something's off. Some kind of mechanical issue. But it wasn't major because he fixes it and he joins the wait for him, and it wasn't a long wait. Maybe 10 seconds if that. But in a little bit you will hear him tell people, oh, you guys go ahead, something's up. Right there. So he tells them that we'll wait for him at the gate. We are not aware up there, we're just riding and we're keeping the pace steady. 33 kilometers an hour is about 20 and a half miles an hour. So we're riding about 20 miles an hour. So these guys can ride up to us because we're keeping it steady. We're not aware that he has pulled out of the line. But this guy knew. So when we get to the gate, they wait for him. So whatever was going on, he resolves it and he will join us in there. So now you can see how visible that jersey I'm wearing is. I'm surrounded by a bunch of guys, but you can still spot me. So on a day like this, cloudy, like the fog is lifting, but it's still overcast. You want to wear your brightest stuff. The guy in front of the camera right now is all in black. This is not the day to wear this, in my opinion. A sunny day, fine. Because even though you got the light on the bike, that's all you've got. You need a little more. It helps that he's in a group and there's a lot of us, but I'm using this as an example. This is an outfit for a sunny day and it looks really cool on that, you know, but right now it's like you're trying to look like a shadow on a cloudy day. So no, I don't wear black outfits when it's not very bright. So I may wear something like pink or what you see we're wearing orange or any other light color. You want something that will stick out. I'm looking at Austin in the green jersey, and he looks labored, even though we're not going hard. He's, whatever gear he's in right now, it's kind of heavy for him. And he had made a joke while we're warming up. He said, most of the riders, he said, most of the rides now, it used to have 25 riders, it's down to 10. During the holidays, fewer people come to the group rides. So he said there's nowhere for him to hide, and he has gotten slower. Basically what he means is he hadn't been training that much. That's the guy in the green jersey up there, about a couple of riders up. We haven't started riding, but you can look at his body language. That gear is too heavy. But a lot of times when you're out of shape, you don't want to spin too much. You know, so he's not feeling like he wants to spin. So he's trying to find some kind of a rhythm. It looks like he's settling down a little bit. You can tell when somebody's laboring, they start rocking or looking for power. We're getting close to the entrance for the Grand Lake Estates. Those little shaved areas on this road are very uncomfortable when you ride over them. I keep my tire pressures at 95 psi, so it's somewhat supple. It softens that a bit. So I'm looking in my mirror. I know nothing's back. I point at the car coming in the distance for the people coming so they can keep their eye on it. So we turn in here, and then we find out that we need to wait for Darren. So always check your bike Wednesday or Thursday. Really, every time you ride, if there's a problem with your bike, as soon as you get home, resolve it if you can. If not, drop it off at the shop. But you need to make sure your bike is in good working condition for your weekend rides, so they're not interrupted. So I'm soft pedaling. I'm way up the road. I'm soft pedaling because I can tell this gap is here. They've slowed down the gate. I suspect something's up. So we're kind of waiting. You can see the pace. I got like 22 kilometers an hour. It's like 10 miles an hour. We're not moving that much. We're just kind of waiting. I'm looking back to see what's going on back here. I'm not pedaling at this point, just kind of coasting. Look at the effectiveness of that orange jersey. Look at that. Versus the guy to my right. I'm not the, you see how the person in the white pops up and my orange pops up? The guy in the middle, you're not sure if he's a stick or a person. That's what I'm talking about. You need a brighter color on these kind of days. Get your chartreuses, your white, your yellow, whatever. Get them out. If you don't have them, get a color for these kind of days. Make yourself visible.
You're waiting for a guy named Darren or somebody.
Yeah, Darren's a big guy.
Yeah.
What happened?
So in a little bit, Darren will come by and I tell him, okay, Darren's here.
Bike. They told him they were going to wait.
So Paul heard that guy tell Darren. That's Randy.
Here he is.
And that's Darren with the white bike. So he's here. I'm like, okay, let's go. So save your black outfits and all of that for days where you have bright sunny skies. Get your pinks, your oranges, your yellows, your whites, reds for days like these.
We're not going that fast. There were people right next to him. So you can't be on the trainer all the time. You gotta get on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling Paul that Rick was right next to other riders and he fell by himself. So he took a bad line. He carried too much speed. So that means it's skill work. He's got to work on his skill. So we're gonna go ahead and ride up to those guys. I stay in the same gear and I just lift the speed by increasing my cadence. The faster I go, the more relaxed my upper body is, because I need all the energy in my legs. So even here in this neighborhood, you see the guys in front of me, 2 abreast. That's good. That's what the law requires, 2 abreast. And there are cases where, let's say you ride in 2 abreast and you have riders peeling off on both sides. That's okay because they're peeling off to get back in the line. But generally you want to be no more than 2 abreast. And on roads like these, actually, if it's busy, you want to be single file. The reason you do that is single file, like where I am, so that the drivers can see around the group and determine when it's safe to pass. Because you're riding on public roads, it's shared with other people, and even though you have the right to be there, you have to be considerate of the other users that are using the road or the facility, because it is a public utility. Just because you're in a group does not mean that you forget other people are using the road, and some riders tend to do that. So the groups get a bad reputation, and then it's frowned upon when you all are using the roads, because people are like, you guys are just blocking the roads. So now look at Austin. He was a little while ago, he was struggling. Now he's at the front. So I don't know what's going on Honea, Egypt, but I guess it's feeling better here. The road is still damp, so when you ride in these conditions with the dew and the fog, you know, it was so foggy that even our socks, the helmet, your glasses, that's why you saw me earlier take my glasses. My glasses are on the back of my helmet because I couldn't see through them. There was so much mist. I think they're still on the back of my helmet. We've had some suggestions on the channel from subscribers that oh, maybe you can put Rain-X on your glasses. Be careful with that, depending on the kind of lenses you have. Remember, our glasses are very expensive. They are not recommended for certain kinds of plastic lenses. So be careful using Rain-X on your lenses for your sunglasses or your cycling glasses. You may damage the coating on some of the lenses, especially the fancy Oakleys and stuff like that. They don't recommend that, so just be careful. So we moved out of our main base phase that Paul and I was doing. So today's plan is to just sit in, and these guys want to play, we just sit in. You see the watts going up. You can see how my hands are relaxed. I basically have my wrist draped over the hoods, And in that position, if I got to the front, I would just lower my elbows to about 90 degrees. I wouldn't change anything else. If these guys are accelerating, I'd stay in the same gear and just increase my cadence. So even though my heart rate has reached 174 here, it doesn't feel like I'm in that zone when I'm on the bike at that point. I noticed that my heart rate was going up, but I was like, it felt easy. So when you're really fit and you want to stress your system, increase your cadence as a means to do that because it saves your legs. So I'm feeling so good that as they accelerate, I just stay in a very small gear. I think I'm probably in like a 53-23, like a 62-inch gear, and I'm just spinning it at a high cadence. We're gonna be turning, so I'm gonna put my hand out and let these guys know to slow down because the road is wet. Oh, somebody says slowing. I didn't do that here, but you want to keep your bike as upright as possible. So now they turn, and all that effort they've been doing back there, I guess they turn off the power. I'm just gonna ride along because my plan here is to just ride along and stay with the group. Just sit in. That's the plan. Whatever they're doing, we're gonna just ride with them because we're at the point where we're trying to ramp up now through the end of December. We're gonna be doing the festive 500 this year. It starts on Christmas Eve to New Year's Eve. I think it's 8 days, 500 kilometers, 311 miles, which for us is no big deal. We're doing it more for the consistent riding that it requires. I'm unzipping my jersey a little bit, got a little warm. It ended up being a little humid on this day. That's another reason we never really get used to the cold temperatures around here, because even though it's early December, it was 80 degrees for a high on this day, which is like 28 Celsius. And then in a week or so, we'll be dropping, below. We're probably going to 18 Celsius for a high. So now here, watch. You see James catching all that wind on the left? He has no protection. Now he's looking around for protection. I don't let him get in there. That's why you see him drifting back. I kept the gap tight. You want to sit over there and show off, you will catch the wind. Now he had to drift behind Paul. I don't know where he ends up getting in, but he's looking for shelter because he's been sitting on there and he hit the point where he needed to take a break. Well, we're still going. If you're gonna ride with the group, what's the point of sitting in the wind? Follow, get to the front, use that energy to pull the group. I'm not doing much shifting. I think I'm in like a 53.19 right now, or something like that. So I'm just using whatever RPM allows me to sit on this guy without feeling like I'm really, really riding per se. He picks up the pace. The road flattens out a little bit, and I just pedal faster. I'm soft pedaling here. So cadence is dropping. We're gonna be going downhill, and right in that curve, these guys like to sprint up that hill. I don't participate in that. There's no point to that. Do your sprints against people that can beat you. Don't sprint against people you know you can beat. They can't teach you anything. So this early in the season, no point in me sprinting. I do a lot of sprints by myself during the week. And when they go, they're not sprinting very fast. I only know how to sprint one way, top speed. There's a difference between sprinting and accelerating. That's not a sprint. The gate is open, so we don't have to wait on anything. Sometimes they will leave these gates open when they're having like a neighborhood garage sale or whatever. They'll leave them open. The gate on the other side that we entered was open, and this is open. So now we go through, and these guys stop in the middle of the road. I'm not sure why. So Paul goes left, I go right. They're in the way. Right? You come out, this is like a 5.5% climb. It bites. I'm just riding easily at this point. I don't intend to tow the group. We're gonna just sit in. I reach for a gel. I think I already had a gel. I think I'm putting the wrapper up. Because for Paul and I, I'm actually taking my gel. For Paul and I, we've been riding for an hour 45. So when we leave, I take a gel. So the next hour here, I'm taking a gel. So that is for hour 3 or 4. I put the wrapper up. Yeah, Randy's dressed too warm for this weather. That jersey he has on, it's too warm. It doesn't look very breathable either. I was like, he's got to be hot in that thing. The road flattens out here. That's why we're doing 40K. We're really not going hard. Top of zone 2. So in a few kilometers, the guy in front of Randy, he's talking to somebody, he blows his nose, and the wind just picks it up, and some of it gets on Randy, and so Randy was not happy about it. So when we stopped at the intersection in about 2 kilometers, Randy tells him about it. And he said, oh, I was trying to aim for the ground. You know, like, you should have pulled out to the left there and do that. You got people behind you. You can't just blow your nose indiscriminately. So when he does that, Randy swings left and startles Paul. And you hear Paul tell Randy, hold your line. You know, so all of that was a chain of events. That's Chris on the right there. Chris didn't end up going to Spring Branch with us. In about maybe 2 kilometers, he turns right and goes to Taco Corner. I stay on the right the whole time here. because that's the best spot for the draft in this condition here. You can see I'm not even pedaling and I'm just rolling around, just being sucked along. You gotta be real crafty. You gotta learn how to draft. It makes a big difference. So I'm just saving a lot of energy here, you know, because we rode for almost 8 hours on this day, you know, 7.5 hours thereabouts, something like that. So you got to be able to save the energy you need when necessary. So you see, we're 2 abreast and we're not all over the road. This is the way we're supposed to be. I like it when we're riding like this, but when we're all over, we just look like we don't know what we're doing. I'm staying a little further back because those 2 guys in front of Randy here, they're talking. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're focusing more on the conversation than the wheels in front of them. So I'm giving myself some room just in case somebody messes up because I always look for a way out. And my default is to the right because there's usually grass there and I'm not going out in traffic. To go around any mishap. The neighboring dogs barking at us. I think this is where it happens. I think this is probably where it happens. Because when we stop up the road, that's when Randy goes and he tells him. There, he blew his nose and he hit Randy. See, Randy tilted his head. And that's so now he's going to startle Paul. So Paul says, stay in your lane. And then Randy wanted to know what did you say? So all of that was because of what Logan did in front of Randy there. So I would tell Paul that Randy was sprayed. That's why he moved. There's a car behind, but I let him know we're going left.
He's weaving back and forth. Come over with 1 left.
So this guy sprayed Randy. The guy in the blue and white jersey sprayed Randy. So caused Randy to weave over. Then Paul said, well, hold your line. So they're going to talk about it here.
Sorry. I try to go down, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's been riding long enough. He knows better. You don't do that. You move, you know, you move over. You got people behind you. He said he was trying to go down to hit the road with the loogie or whatever, but it's like the breeze. I'm at the front. I'm watching the traffic. I'm gonna go because I don't want to sit here. I don't know why. See the other riders. See how those guys going by? Look at that line. 4 guys, straight line, looking neat. That's the way you're supposed to ride.
Oh, yeah? I thought I saw a familiar face.
I'm just soft pedaling because I've done enough pulling. I pulled for a bunch of at least 10 kilometers early in the ride. So we got enough people here. And my goal here is to just sit in, keep my effort low, but stay with the group to continue to build a high level of endurance. Not just base endurance, but speed endurance without using reserves. That kind of deep conditioning that comes from getting enough kilometers in your legs. I'm not sure what Randy is looking for up there. There's nobody back there. I'm not sure what his concern is, but all of that is not necessary. Just sit in the line and let's ride. There's nothing going on behind there. It's time to ride.
In the back. If you want to be in the back, stay in the back.
That's what Paul said. You want to be in the back, stay in the back. You keep looking at the back. You pulling out of the traffic to look behind. Who are you looking for? If somebody's off the back, you can't help them. And you know, on a road like this, I showed you the group that was going by. We were at the corner. Straight line, clean line, moving along. This guy rides up there to sit next to somebody to talk. This is not the time to talk. This is annoying. It is time to ride. So now we got two abreast on a busy road. This is not the road to ride like this. We should be in a single line moving along. And Logan pulls off the front. So now we want a single line. That's what we need here. Get to the business of riding. You want to chat, set up a date with the person and go sit out at the coffee shop and talk. It's time to ride. They were doing the same thing on Sunday on a busy road. I had to tell them, single file, it's time to ride. Let's do this. You know. Y'all got a lot to talk about. Y'all need to hook up away from the group. We got things to do here. It's time to ride. Let's do this. So it's like, yeah, it's not a time to chat. They're sitting up there side by side. What are they talking about? Then when a car comes, want you to say car back. I'm not saying car back. When he buzzes you, you will get your butt over. Because sometimes you say car back, they don't move. Car back, still sitting over there. Right. I don't give these drivers any excuse to endanger me. Now we got a straight line. This is not a road to be chatting on. So a lot of times when we're feeling like going hard and they're doing that, we just go to the front and lift the pace. It cuts out all that nonsense. So when you're on the busy roads, be predictable, keep a tight formation. And even if the roads are not busy, if you're messing around, it is your responsibility to keep an eye out. If you see a car coming, get over so they can go by. Then you can resume whatever you were doing with your mates. Because most of the time on a road like this, this is the way you're supposed to be riding. Because then the drivers know, okay, these boys, it's on. And they just go on by their business because they know what you guys are doing. You're not lollygagging all over the place. You see where I am? I find the cleanest pavement to use. I can see around the guy in front of me, just to his left. I know this road has a lot of crap on the right. There's a lot of gravel that comes out of the driveways, and then they also have garbage cans on Saturdays that they put out. So I stay where I am. The drivers will move over when they come. We're in one line, we're moving along. And now we're making some progress instead of all that yo-yo. There's a garbage can over there, just what I was talking about. They're always out there, you know. They put them there for pickup. Sometimes they're on 149, which we're coming to in the distance. There's a car coming out of the driveway ahead. So somebody said car up. He's going right. He's in front of us now. I'm probably in a 53.17 at this point. We're doing about 27 miles an hour right here. The road's downhill. It's not that hard. Zone 2 effort. This is the way we're supposed to be. This is the way you ride. The guys that we saw when we were back there that I was referencing, they're on the left. They're going to stopping here at this store. We're going to turn right. There they are. They had a nice clean line. I'm not sure what Dan was doing over there. Like all the way on the left there. It's like you were just behind Paul. He goes all the way over there. Now he's going to go right back behind Paul. So I don't know what that was about. Now look at Randy sitting in the middle of the lane. I don't know what he's doing. He keeps looking behind. Looking for what? Paul and I are sitting on the back. Dan is behind Paul. That's the three of us. I don't know why Randy is looking back. This road is busy, so we stay on the shoulder until it's time to turn. We're going to be turning in about a kilometer, maybe a kilometer and a half. I leave a bit of a gap because I always go faster than the people I'm following down the hill, and there is a descent that kicks up into an incline. And I don't want to use my brakes, so I intentionally leave this gap. And I'm just gonna spin my legs out, keep them supple. So you look at my cadence, over 120 is dropping because now the incline starts. I stay in the same gear, then I start downshifting because I'm interested in just keeping my cadence up. 110 RPMs, 111. You have to practice that, but that starts with a bike fit for your body and the machine, and then you train your neuromuscular pathways so you can pedal at 110 and don't even look like you're pedaling at 110. And that keeps your leg, that saves your legs. It stresses your aerobic system because I went from zone 2 to sweet spot, the bottom of zone 4 quickly, heart rate wise. But as far as overall feel, it still feels like I'm in tempo zone or something. When you're fit, the zones kind of widen. I check my mirror, it's clear. I go ahead and get in the lane. I don't know if I passed Randy here. We're gonna be turning. This is Spring Branch Road, one of our other favorite roads. This is where the kamikaze dog used to live. We haven't seen him in months since he took Dave out. So now they start to stop. And I'm like, everybody's here. It may look like I'm not paying attention, but I'm watching everything. Because I want to be in the action, but I don't want to waste a lot of energy because we're focusing on endurance. So I'm watching those guys up there. May not seem like it, but I got my eye on them. We're all together. I'm not sure what this lull is about. That's what I just said. I said, what's the, I put my arm out like, what is this delay? We're ready to ride. I'm at the bottom of zone 2. I'm into zone 1 now. You can see the watts are low. I think I've already taken a drink. I didn't need to eat anything because I'd already taken a gel in the Grand Lake Estates neighborhood. The pace is picking up. Look at my cadence. It's gonna pick up right here. I'll go ahead and lower. You see, I put my elbow down a little bit, just kind of get sucked along behind Darren here. I'm watching to see who's going to decide to close that gap that they allowed to open. You let the gap open, you're going to close it. Because if I decide to close it, I'm not taking any passengers. You let a gap open, I'm not dragging you back up to close it. So I just sit there. I said, let them leave it open. They're going to have to fight that wind to get up there. So when you're riding and you want to ride with people, don't do that. You're just wasting energy. The gap you allow to open, you're going to have to close it or you will get dropped. Those are your two choices. So now Darren decides to close the gap that he allowed to open. That's energy he could have used. I'm staying low because I'm right in the pocket there. See, I took 3 strokes, I'm there. Remember, you have a finite amount of energy. If you waste it when you really need it, it may not be there to help you. I'll go ahead and leave a gap here because I'm not sure why he pulled out of the line, but I'm like, you all are sitting up there. I'm gonna leave the gap so he can get in. So Mike goes ahead and pulls off, and the hill is coming up. Now, in a little bit, you will see another guy go ahead and reach for a hammer gel. They put their hammer gels in these bottles. I tried hammer gel a long time ago. Ooh, it's like drinking honey. There he is. He's reaching in his jersey for the hammer gel. He's gonna take a drink. Well, it's not gonna help you on this hill. The hill's right there. You should have done it 10 minutes ago. It takes a little bit of time for that stuff to get in your bloodstream. 10 to 15 minutes at least. You know, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, but I'm just saying if you're taking it for the hill, it's kind of late for the hill. It will kick in later. So keep that in mind. You got a hill coming, that's not where you want to take stuff. Take it before you get to the hard part of your effort. Wherever you're planning on going hard, do it when things are easy. The main thing I do on the hill is I drink if I'm thirsty or whatever, because it's good to have fluids in your system. So right here we begin. Look at the grade. It's going to kick up. I just find the gear. Look at the watts. We're not going that hard. 600 watt, it dropped. So I'm just going to follow the fastest wheel. So Shempusan goes on the right, I get on his wheel. Because James is not firing on the left there. The guy who took the gel kind of late. We're going to ride past him. And then Paul rides up because look at the watts coming down. At this point, it's coming down. I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to sit on him because that's my goal. It's just sit in. But the watts are down. We didn't go that hard. We hit like 500 something watts. Now it's down to 200. So that's what I was talking about back in the neighborhood when they were sprinting. And I was like, no. There's no point in you sprinting against people that are not going to challenge you. They can't teach you anything. You want people who will push you. I mean, when I go hard, I'm like 1,200 watts. So if you're riding at 500 to 600 watts, we're just kind of riding. So I decided to just sit on him. I figured when he's done, I will just go ahead and keep the pace going. So right here, I'm doing a lot of soft pedaling. I will pedal, then soft pedal, because I'm staying very close to him because he's a small guy. And so he's not punching a big hole in the wind for me. So I'm very tight on his wheel. He's smaller than me. So I'm staying close enough to where I will pedal, and then once I get sucked along, I will kind of soft pedal, so every other stroke, which is kind of cool because I'm saving my legs by not having to keep the force on all the time. That's the benefit of the draft. But by doing that, Paul Ilonga is not reacting to changes in speed because I'm staying in rhythm. Right there, I'm kind of soft pedal. Look at the watch drop. I'm just kind of like going through the circling motion, not really putting a lot of force in there. The road has kind of dropped off a little bit. Right here it goes up. You'll see the watts go up, but still I'm not really putting, you can tell by my body action, I'm not really driving the pedals per se. Doesn't mean it's easy. My heart rate says 169. That's the bottom of zone 4. So it's like, okay, we're like maybe 5 or 6 beats away from race pace, but it doesn't feel hard to me. This is where he pulls off, and I just go ahead and lower my arms since I'm at the front and continue the same effort he was doing. And this is how you should ride as a group. Or if you're in a breakaway with a teammate or somebody, you guys are trying to make time. You want to keep the effort consistent, especially if the person you're riding with is working with you. You keep it consistent. If you start attacking him, then he's not going to work with you. We're doing almost 30 miles an hour. So about 26, 27 miles an hour, you know, thereabouts. I'm not looking at speed when I'm riding. At this point, I'm just riding. The road's going up, and all I'm thinking about is, okay, I need to find a gear where I can keep the force going. Look at the watts, 5 something. Going about 21, 22 miles an hour thereabouts. So then Mike comes around, and I'm looking in my mirror. I saw them coming, and I'm just gonna get on the wheel in front of me because there was nobody else. So you have to train and not ride. Don't just go riding. You have to have purpose when you're out there. If you have goals to accomplish, whether you want to just lose weight, get stronger on the bike, get fit or whatever, you have to train with a purpose so that you can have the endurance you need to be able to go hard repeatedly, longer, and so forth and so on. So by building a strong base, you can hit your zones and not feel like you're dying. I think in a little bit the battery kind of craps out on us, and then we end up resuming our filming after we left the group. Yeah, so Mike didn't pull that long. We just continue going. And that's what I do. When they come to the front, do stuff like that, I just get on their wheel. When they're done playing around, then I just resume what we're doing before, keeping the group speed. And so if they have not prepared themselves and did an effort that could not sustain, we keep the group speed, because then what will happen is if they overdid it, they won't be able to even sit in. So this is how you save your energy and ride with a fast-moving group and still build endurance. Because I'm not digging deep here. We're just kind of riding along. And our rev meter is going around and settling back. So as an average, we average probably 120. I average 120 some beats per minute for the whole ride, which is pretty low. No, 130 something. 130 something for the whole ride. So I averaged zone 1 overall.
Legends, we broke away from the group. We're on our own, doing our own thing. We're in far north, I guess northeast Montgomery County, near the border with Grimes County, close to Richards, Texas. We're on this little cow path, I call it. Looks like an old wagon trail that's been paved. Wide enough for one car.
It's called Cedar Hill Road.
It has warmed up a little bit more than it was before, but right now we're at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. And look at this day. The fog has burned off, and we got the right color because we just went through the forest back there. So we're gonna film some clips back here on our little escapade. These are the roads that you get the best workouts on. And even overseas in the UK, they have roads like these, little paths with the hedges real close to them. I'm sure they have them in Europe as well. Some of the tours use some of these roads. You don't always use mean roads. Yeah, no cars. Everybody's in their homes. And so during the tours and the other things, these are the roads that they close to traffic because it's already lightly traveled. So you got to look for these in your area and get out there and enjoy the outdoors. We don't want to deal with traffic. So you look around, what traffic? There's nothing out here. It's beautiful. It's lovely. Look at all that hay. That's the stuff that we're feeding the cows. And they eat it like
Cedar Hill Drive, and it loops around, becomes Hickey Road, which takes us to Bay's Chapel.
Yeah.
Look at that lake. The colors of fall are
so we'll
vibrant.
share our little treasures with you all. There you go, my brother. Let me slow down for you.
This road is so narrow. There's a part of it where there's a guy in a truck. He waits for us. And he basically pulls off the road partially till we went by.
Country road.
It has a lot of patina. So when you're riding, you kind of have to read the road. Save your road. Look at the colors on the right there. Fall colors. Fall is in the air. It's pretty. We encountered a few cyclists off camera that were out here training too. Look at the leaves. Look at the tree over there.
Yeah.
The big tree in the background to the right there. Look at all those colors.
Just gorgeous.
The camera does not do it justice. This is why when you go to events, like if you have kids or other family members, resist the urge to film everything. Your brain is a better camera. Your memory. Take it in. Watch the event. People stand up nowadays with their cameras in the air instead of watching the event. The camera can only do so much. It does not reproduce what you see in person. So if you skip an event, tell somebody record it for me, it's still not, it's not the same. You got to be out there. You got to get there.
Back here, but I don't remember this road being this nice.
Yeah, this part I was expecting a lot more bumps.
Yeah.
I don't know if they paved it since.
This part hasn't been paved. They've patched a few. You will see where encounter some patched areas. So you don't always have to ride the whole time in anger. We're out here, conversational pace, enjoying it. Then we'll get out on the main highway and go harder. You know, we'll mix it up. The idea is to just keep moving. But we're going to start ramping up stuff up to the festive 500.
Yeah, this is the part you're talking about.
Okay.
This is the part that was choppy. That's what he's saying. The part that was chewed up. So when you're riding on the chewed up area, what I do is, if your bike fits you well, you should be able to transfer your weight to your feet without getting up. That's what I'm telling Paul. So my weight are on the pedals. So the saddle is moving under me to where there's not that much weight on the rear wheel. You should be able to do that without getting off the bike.
Look at these trees. I remember this just big.
There's nicer ones up there that neater.
Yeah.
Near the road up there on that hill.
Yeah.
It's like a 7% climb.
Yeah, somebody planted a bunch of pine trees on the right, and Paul had noticed them the last time we came through here. They're just so neatly lined up that it wasn't just a fluke. It looks like they were planted a long time ago. They're just in such a perfect line for several miles on the right. It's a couple of miles. It's a big property. Look at all those colors. Leaves are all on the ground. Yeah, fall is in the air, man. So this is a 80-degree day. Southeast Texas. You don't like the weather? Just blink. It will change. The weather changes frequently around here. So when it gets cold around here, we feel cold because of all the variations we go through. So I don't play with it. Your blood never gets thick enough to adapt to the very cold temperatures that other parts of the world encounter. That's the nice thing about being in the southern part of the U.S. We're talking about the Festive 500. I got the email Friday night to sign up.
I don't know how they did it. Somehow they still got it, even though I didn't have everything covered.
We're using our Vittoria G 2.0 road tires, just very supple.
Yep.
Yeah, the additional, those are the trees that are just lined up. Look at all the colors. Look at the fall colors on the right. All the leaves, right and left. So when your bike is comfortable, even when the roads are rough, I mean, I don't put no 120 PSI in my tires. Look at this pavement, nicely patched here. I was telling Paul, why didn't they just do the whole thing? Those are the trees we're talking about. This whole place is like a tree plantation or something on the right. But when your bike fits you, you should be able to sit for extended periods in comfort. If you're not comfortable and you're getting pain, this guy waits for us because the road is so narrow. I move to the right because I know it's narrow, but he just goes ahead and pulls over and waits. So I just kind of acknowledge him.
Yeah.
So you only have one car at a time. So if you're driving on this kind of roads, you need to be extra cautious. You don't want to set speed records on these kind of roads unless they're closed.
I was blown away how straight.
Look at the colors of those little bushes or young plants on the right.
Probably all the same one we saw.
It looks like the same plantation. There's a bunch of trees just lined up perfectly.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on.
I was like, well, yeah, that's another nicely patched area. Why just do the whole thing? You come out in the middle of nowhere to just patch what? 10 yards? I mean, come on. So when you're pedaling, you should feel like all your weight is settled on the bike between your rear and your feet, to where you're not trying to displace any kind of discomfort with your arms or whatever. That's what gives you aches and pains and numb hands sometimes. When you're sitting right, everything else comes easier. This is a nice little climb before we get to Bays Chapel Road. We decided to go ahead and film. I decided to film us eating because quite a few people had asked over the years, when do you guys eat? How much do you eat? You're riding so long, we never see you eating. Lately you guys been seeing us take gels or whatever, but I brought banana bread on the ride. And you don't want to just do gels for a very long ride. You want to mix it up. Make sandwiches. You can make peanut butter sandwiches or ham sandwiches, whatever you're into. Put some cheese on it or whatever. Put them in a Ziploc bag and keep it in your jersey. So I've got a bag of bite-sized banana bread, I call it. Put a lot of bananas in there. And they just hit the spot. I always bring enough for Paul and I. So he's not expecting it. I don't know if I told him. I don't know if I told him. I think when I take it out, and I'll let him know. This is Bays Chapel Road. This is Hickey Road we're coming off of. We started on Cedar Hill Drive. So Bays Chapel is a nice, smooth road. A few years old. A few years ago, they paved everything. This will take us to 149. We're just probably about 10 kilometers from Richards, Texas. So this is where I'm getting the banana bread out. Hands free. I'm taking it out of my pocket. That's one of the benefits of being able to do hands-free. You have both of your hands to do what you want. So I'm holding the camera. I said
they paved the whole thing at least more than a year ago.
We're talking about, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago, I think, when they paved this. Because he's saying the road is nice and smooth. They did the entire thing at once. They had scraped it. They left dirt there one time, but it was hard-packed dirt.
You gotta try this banana bread, man. We're having banana bread.
banana bread, because I put a lot of bananas in there. I want to taste the bananas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride up and hand him a piece. I just basically hold the bag open. He reaches in and gets one, because they're all cut in bite sizes.
Banana bread. You gotta pack your own stuff that you like to eat and take it with you.
It's 3 hours into the ride. We're about halfway through. 3.5 hours.
You pack bite sizes.
Paul putting that banana bread.
That thing on?
He asking if the camera's on.
I'm filming us eating. This guy said we don't eat. They don't see us eating.
Paul said you have that thing on. He said you're filming me putting this thing down.
Why do you think I turned the camera around? Some of the legends said they don't see us eating. We're riding 7 hours.
Oh man. So when the effort is low, that's when you take the solids. If you stop at a store or whatever.
Bananas when they get ripe. Takes 15 minutes to do the batter.
I made a video about this on the channel. Just search for banana substitute, I think I called it. Probably should name it how to make a banana bread. It'd probably be easier to find.
So when the pace is low, you eat, drink, get ready. Then you lift it up. Eat before you're hungry. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? Look at this place.
Look at that sky.
Look at those colors.
Yeah, the camera does not do it justice here
this
because it's so
road.
cloudy
No cars.
and it doesn't handle low light very well.
Beautiful.
All those trees and bushes there. There's just a cacophony of colors
Taco corner.
all over.
Yeah. Wow.
Look at
Why
that
would
to
you
the
do that
left.
on a day like this? Look at this.
Look at that. Those
Look
are
at this
colors.
view.
It doesn't reproduce it very well. Just beautiful. Yeah, right on it, right there. Just beautiful.
This is why we come on the open road.
The wind's picking up because it's later in the morning. It's almost 11 a.m. 10:46
The next
Central.
intersection is about probably 5 kilometers.
So we're done eating. Take a drink. Get back to the business of riding.
Every time we come on the roads like this, that's why I'm always reminded why we do what we do.
Look at this road. Beautiful.
Yep.
Lovely pavement.
This road is always quiet
Look at the colors.
because the people that use this road, they're kind of a captive.
Man, this is a Texas big.
I would say a captive traffic because you have to have business on this road to get on it because it does not go anywhere except into little neighborhoods and there's a bunch of gravel roads back there, so you got to have a reason to be back here. It's not a major thoroughfare, but it's major enough to warrant this quality pavement, so you get a car now and then because there's large acreage properties as you see on the right, farms. The road goes up here and I just put it in a low ratio. I'm probably in a 39, 21 or 19, something like that. I'll put it in something where I can just be on top of the gear without really working hard. So I'm really enjoying this climb. Go ahead and just tap out the rhythm and just enjoy the sensations. I stay in the same gear as the grade drops and my tempo probably will go up because I know there's another little bump. You can see it. The road goes up again. So there's a little bit of a dip, then it's going back up again. It's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels warmer. It feels more closer to 80. It's a very muggy, fairly muggy day. So it feels warmer than what we've become accustomed to over the last month. So the road is leveling off. I'm in the same ratio. I'm just spinning faster. Helps clear some of the lactate out of my legs. Because of the grade, my effort has crept into zone 3. Now it's dropping back to the top of zone 2, which is where we really want to be. Focus on staying smooth and pulling back, keeping my arms relaxed. Approaching the intersection at Highway 149. The National Forest is to our left. Richards is to our right,
straight.
about probably 2 kilometers down the road. We're not going to Richards, we're heading back. Road's clear. Paul takes the lead. Look at that sky. You can tell it's warm whenever we get those clouds like that.
Paul likes this road, so they got some nice climbs that he likes to deal with. So he gets his wish today.
It was 149. We came out here with more in them one day, and Paul had to be shepherded back. So every time we come out here, he wants to ride these climbs because it was hard that day. These guys were moving.
Car back.
It's a busy highway. The speeds are higher by the other road users. In about probably 3 kilometers, we'll enter the National Forest. This goes through the National Forest, and then we're going to take 1791, which is Bailey Grove. We're going to take that, go south. There's a car coming up. He slowed down. I think it might be a truck. He slowed down because he couldn't see, and he's going through. He couldn't see over that rise. That's the main reason we stay where you see Paul is, so that they can see around us to make good decisions on passing. That's the goal. That's the hope. So most of the time that works out. In a few kilometers, there'll be a bunch of FedEx trucks zooming by us. And because I use the mirror, I can tell when they're coming around. If there's another car coming the opposite way, I try to move over even more because I want to keep a certain buffer when they go by, because I don't like them passing me too close at speed, and some of them don't move over enough.
Remember that time we came with more in them? Remember that time we came with more in them?
They're not patient enough sometimes to wait until the other lane is clear. So whenever possible, if I see them coming and they're too close, I will move over to give more room. So since I got the mirror, I am very aware of where they are, what they're doing, how much room they're giving me as they come by, because when I hear them, I can glance and kind of tell. So it really gives you a good peace of mind. I love having it. And I like the aesthetics. I come over so I can catch the wind and not have to brake. I'm coasting. And as it levels off, I slip back behind Paul. Yeah, this climb here, I don't know if it's the one. There's one of these that just really kicks up. I tell him car back, even though I know he's got a mirror. I tell him car back so that he does not make any move to the left that is not necessary. Go ahead and take the lead here. We're going into the wind. This road is up and down. It's a nice road to ride on. It's just that the traffic speeds are higher. So if you're not accustomed to it, it can startle you. But with our mirrors, I kind of keep my eye on the traffic as it's going by, so I'm never startled by anything they do. This is where we get a bunch of these guys passing. I'm looking, I glance in my mirror from time to time. I knew they were going. One of them kind of passes a little close. This guy, he was last. I don't know if there's another one. But he was like coming over and that car was coming the other way, so he rode the yellow line. He still gave us a little room, but they're moving at 55, 60 miles an hour. So when they go by, their engines are so loud. And a lot of cyclists are not used to that. It can startle you if you're not prepared for it. So we want to use these roads to get us to quieter roads, but we chose to come this route because we wanted to get a lot of climbing on this ride. So this route gives us close to 1,000 meters of climbing. That's like 3,200 feet, something like that. So if you want to be able to ride for a lot of hours comfortably, start with a fit, get a plan.
If you didn't know any better, you think FedEx has a office back here.
Paul said if you didn't know any better, you'd think FedEx had an office back here. And then a little bit I'll tell, I say, yeah, I think there is ground delivery because they have ground delivery just like UPS. So they're delivering packages. Yeah, I thought I said, nothing richer. They're probably driving from one rural community to the next. After leaving their depot, they're delivering packages.
Oh, they have ground?
Yeah, FedEx has ground and I believe Saturday delivery as well.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling Paul. But you can't ship everything. I think aerosol cans, there are certain things you can't put on airplanes anymore. Pretty restrictive. So I use the mirror. That's why you see me moving on and talking to Paul. I know nothing's coming. So that mirror has enhanced our ability to know when to use more of the lane and whatever without having to look behind all the time. I really love it. I have it adjusted to where just a glance I see behind. There are very few stretches on this road that's flat. You can see it visually. It's a slight grade. It says 2%. I was going to say it's a slight grade. The whole time you're working, I said 3. So you're just working. So all I do is I keep the mechanical advantage by selecting the proper ratio for the effort I want to maintain. I'm at the top of zone 1, so I don't really want to go any harder. And so I just stay at a tempo level that, yeah, it's gonna go over like 152s and now we're going to tempo, but I just stay with the same rhythm without pushing harder per se. And then sometimes you have to downshift to keep that the same because you can see the roads going up. So I moved over there where you see me so that Paul would have a little bit of room because he's kind of using like a little bit of an echelon. Because I saw that guy coming with his horse trailer in the mirror. So I moved over so we'd have more room between him and us. That's why you have to be paying attention when you're riding on the road. You can't just be lax. It's not your backyard. It's a public utility. You're out there, every moment matters. You need to pay attention till you unclip at home. Don't take anything for granted. We're moving here. Felt good. I'm not going hard, but just even with the wind, we had a good little rhythm going. It's relatively flat. Up there is going to curve to the right and kick up. The harder it gets, the smoother I make sure I'm pedaling. And then I relax my upper body. So I've got my hands on the bars. I drop my shoulders and let my legs do the work. Climbing here may not be the steepest grade, but I can feel it, and that says 2%, and the wind's blowing. The wind was from the southwest in our face and from the right. That's why Paul is off to the left of my position. Be able to use your drops, tops, hoods. And we're coming up to 1791, which is also Bethel Road. We're going to turn right and go through that part of the forest. It's quieter. So this is the main drag to Richards in the opposite direction. We could go straight on this road, which is fine because once you pass this intersection, you have a nice shoulder. But we want to go this way so we can take 1097 back to Montgomery. So I hope you got a chance to get some K's in, because this is part of what we did on Saturday. Be safe out there and keep those doctors far.